welcome to another edition of Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate. I'm your host tonight, Scott Waddell. Caitlin is not with us tonight, but hope to have her back certainly for the next one. This is our 30th episode, and we'd like to welcome on a new sponsor to the podcast, and it's Patrick Hill and American History, who is, by the time you look at this, will have competed in the big race of Western Fair, the Camlock Classic. So we wish him all the best. Also wanted to mention as well, we have a special guest coming on, and certainly he won't be a stranger much longer, I don't think, in the Maritime. So promising young man from Prince Edward Island. And he had his first training win last week. He was celebrating with the pacing mare Plain Jane. And we welcome Landon Campbell, son of Mark Campbell, to the podcast. How you doing?
Great.
Good. Congratulations on your win the other night.
Yeah, thank you. It meant a lot. It was great win to have.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so it's certainly not hard, Landon, to figure out how you got your start in racing, but for those listeners that may not know, just kind of tell us, your dad Mark, of course, is involved in racing, and you've been around it all your life, so just kind of tell us what it's been like to grow up in a harness racing family.
Well, first of all, tough with Mark being my dad, but it was. I mean, as soon as I got out of the hospital, Mom said I was right at the racetrack. I didn't even get home, so it was
all right.
Like, yeah, but it was it was just, I don't know how to say it. It was great being different from the other kids at school.
Yeah.
And just having something else except for just a normal job, or our parents just having normal jobs. It was better having to do something that people are like, "Oh, really? You do that?" And
yeah,
it was just it's great growing up that way.
Well, such a family industry, and especially with you guys with a farm that you guys take care of as a family. And it just must be a great experience to wake up every day and have those horses so close to you. And, you've got it in your blood, obviously, and you have since you were young. So, do the kids kind of tease you at school where they probably know, everybody in Prince Edward Island probably knows who your dad is by now. So do they tease you once in a while?
Some days, yes. I have showed up to school a couple times in my past with, I don't know, smelling like horse poop or something like that. My shoes, I was out in the barn that morning or something.
Yeah.
But other than that, not really. Everybody's always saying congratulations, on your win last night, because it's always on the radio after. But yeah, other than that, no, not really.
Oh, cool. So when you look at what your dad's accomplished over the Maritimes, what is kind of the biggest lesson that you've learned from your dad over the years, from being around him in the stable and then, of course, watching him drive week to week?
Definitely, there's a lot of little things that I've learned over the time, but the biggest thing that always stuck out to me was what Walter Chevrolet told him, whenever he was first starting to drive and train and all that. It was he said, if you're having a bad race, or just a bad card in general, just turn the page. Next time is always different. That's definitely been my biggest, keeping me going. So, and even last night, I had my first Plain Jane and Lady Sheriff went. Lady Sheriff didn't race great, but just turn the page, keep going. It's not a big deal. You always got next week.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of Plain Jane, she raced extremely well last night. You guys have such a tough mares class over there. And, you've, from your own barn, as you know, you've had some tremendous mares over there. And it seems year after year that mares class is just so competitive and such nice all around racehorses. These mares.
Yeah, that one that qualified yesterday too, she's really sticking out. Like I think she's gonna be something too. But Plain Jane will definitely give them a lot of couple good shots. But
Yeah.
uh, I mean, past the mama, she was bought to be the top mare. She was bought to replace Zenfire. So yeah.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about Zenfire. I mean, I've watched her race a number of years, Landon. You've been around her since you were just a youngster, and she's been such a terrific mare. And to see her, of course, retire last year. But what does a horse like her mean to you?
She was like she would have been one of my first horses to jog. Like she was a special mare. She was always like she was like pretty well a dog around in the barn. Like just a big dog that would follow you anywhere, let you do anything to her. Like she was great. And it was always good going to the winter circle every week. Like just because she was such a great mare. Not trying to be anyway. Going to the winter circle all the time was like whenever you went to the races, you knew you had a good shot of winning.
Yeah, no, and your dad's done a tremendous job with selecting some mares and getting them down here, and just seems year after year he's always got one in contention. So we'll definitely you've got Plain Jane, and your dad's got the newcomer there, Pasta Mama. So we'll keep an eye out for her in future races. I see she qualified the other night. How'd she come out of that
She
qualifier?
came out of that great. I think I'm down with trainer actually.
Oh,
But
okay, good.
yeah, she trained or qualified actually really good. She trained down really good.
Yeah,
Had a few issues like we hoped to qualify her a couple weeks before. But couple issues with her feet and everything, but that's not really a big deal.
yeah,
But yeah, she's nice mare.
awesome. So I got to ask you this, Len, and I'm a firm believer in the program that you guys have over there, the matinee driving series for young drivers like yourselves. So tell us, from your perspective, how important a program like that is, not only to yourself but anybody who wants to, be a part of the industry over in Prince Edward Island.
I think it is a great program to be in.
Yeah,
There's a few changes I think could be made to make it a lot more like I don't know, competitive, I guess, because there's only so many races in a year, right? That like I don't know what there is this year, maybe 11 or 12, and you need to race 3 times with the same horse and at least two different tracks. Like
yeah,
especially where like I'm living in Orwell, you can
yeah,
only get and that's easy to get to, but like all the rest of them are in Kensington, O'Leary, like all up there. So,
yeah,
but other than that, it's a great program to learn, and you learn lessons, you learn how to drive, you learn whenever someone puts a wheel into you, how to react to that. You learn how to react to people making breaks in front of you or you making a break and being able to hold on to them.
yeah. No, that's a fantastic program, and even some drivers that are driving on the national stage have come from that program. And I know you did extremely well last year. So will you be doing that again this year, Landon?
I should be. I mean, Freddie didn't quite make it back this year, and there's not so many to pick from to be able to race 3 times, right? Like,
Yeah.
just to take them out of mutual races just to go race in that. But um, I should be, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So it didn't take you very long to get your first training win. You had it within your first, under 5 starts. What was it like when your dad crossed the wire and you knew you kind of had that monkey off your back and that first training win behind you?
Well, it was definitely a relief. It was like, when am I gonna get it? Like, I know I didn't have many starts, but it
Yeah.
was like I was kind of starting to worry. I'm like, am I even gonna get a first training win this year? Like,
Oh,
just kind of, it was just in my head, right? Like,
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
it was great. Dad crossed the wire and he came around the paddock turn with a big smile on his face.
Ah,
Uh,
sweet.
just took a big deep breath and it was great.
Yeah, no, that's a memory, buddy, that'll stick with you forever. So congratulations on that first win the other night. I was rooting for her down the stretch there.
Thank you.
So you've grown up around so many great horses, whether it be a stake performer or overnight horses, with the mares, and you've had such great invitational horses with Time to Dance and now Roll 'em. If I had to ask you to break down, a couple of them that you've formed a really unique bond with over the past few years, who would be top of mind, Landon?
Well, over the past few years,
Yeah.
definitely, you obviously got Freddie, who's,
Yeah.
I don't know, he's just Freddie. He's the best horse ever.
Yeah.
Philly 47, I loved her as a 2 and 3 year old, and then we sold her,
Yeah.
and then we got her back, and I started jogging and training her too. Like it was great that way. Eagle Jolt, Roll 'em, and even Cabot Beach last year it was really nice having him too.
Yeah. And tell us about Freddie. I mean, I believe you went down as owner on that horse last year, and he's got so many wins behind him. Is there a chance that he'll get back to the races this year?
I wouldn't say this year.
Okay.
Definitely, like I was kind of hoping for him to be at least a matinee horse this year. He had a couple issues behind, but I'm really trying to get him to 85. That's my main goal with him. So maybe next year.
Yeah, because I know when we
Yeah.
talked to your dad on his podcast, he had mentioned that you guys had hoped to get him to win number 85. And, I think if he could have, or if he would have kept going or could have kept going, he probably could have got to 100, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just it's just only because of the way he goes, and
Yeah.
he's got that big bump going on, but like he's sound. He's just that's the way he goes, but it really hurts like his suspensories and everything. Like, and you just don't want to push it over top, especially even with his weight. He's about 500 pounds overweight. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, awesome. So your dad's expressed confidence in his abilities over the years, and we've seen him win, so many years in a row that he's been the top driver over at Prince Edward Island. What do you think is the most important thing that you have to try and do to be a good driver and to be someone like your dad?
uh, me personally, just
Yeah,
take the mistakes that a good driver like Dad does and make
yeah,
them not a mistake, basically. And
yeah.
just watch what he does right and do that, and watch his mistakes and don't do that. That's all I got.
And I think some great advice is, like you say, turn the page on to the next race, because, those races come and go and you can't get them back. And the result is what it is. But I think your dad does a tremendous job on moving on to the next race or next week or whatever. And I think that's probably a quality that we're going to see in you too.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
tell us, so tell us about how you split your time during. You're 15 years old, I believe, and you're in
Yep.
school, and you're balancing school with the horse life at home, and especially with a farm at home. Tell us how you kind of balance that, all that workload, Landon.
Well, you usually, like,
Yeah.
let's say 80% of the time, I pretty well wake up around 6:30. I go
Yeah.
out, jog 1 or 2 horses. Like, I just got a new fella there. I've been waking up to jog him in the morning.
Yeah.
Um, I come in around 7:30, shower, uh, get mom to drive me to school, and come back and start doing horses again
So you probably
every
go
day.
late into the night, eh? And it's, as you know, 7 days a week.
Yeah, especially even trying to study, getting all that studying done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I know it must be hard sometimes to choose between schooling and harness racing. I know when I was young and got harness racing into my blood, it was hard to focus on school, and and not put all your concentration on horse racing, especially when it's such a big part of your life. So, what are your plans, Landon? Future plans? Have you set any type of goals for yourself and what you'd like to do in the industry?
Well, mom, me and mom, I guess, but mom mostly wants me to go to college, which I 100% agree with, and I plan on going to college for welding. But then
Great.
after my 2 years is done there, there's a business program I can take for another
Yeah,
2 years that I plan on doing anyway, and
yeah,
then hope to come back to harness racing for as long as possible. I don't know how long it's going to be around, but
yeah.
as long as I can be around, I will be around. But I always need that backup plan, right, in case anything does happen.
Yeah, and you growing up around horse racing at such a young age, it must be very positive for you to watch how racing has really grown over in Prince Edward Island, and the support that you get from government, and Red Shores do a fantastic job to show that the money is well invested, and they put on what I think is probably the best product in North America for most of the season.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think I really do wish New Brunswick and Nova Scotia had all just as much as what we had. Like I do feel bad
Yeah,
for everybody over there
yeah,
because even us like Red Shores having all of our purses quite much like they're not high, but they're higher than what New Brunswick and Nova Scotia have.
yeah,
But even just us, like we're just getting by. Like it's not like you're in Ontario being able to race for good money and just have two or three horses and yeah, be able to live off that. But anyway,
yeah. No, and I think it's going to continue over in Prince Edward Island. I think whether it's a liberal or conservative government over there, I think they both realize the importance of the industry to PEI, not only as as a wagering opportunity and the Racino, but also the tourism that it brings to your province too.
yep, yep.
So when I talked to your dad, we had an interesting conversation, and he mentioned that going back and looking at the horses that he shared a unique bond with, he said that Time to Dance was his spirit animal. He kind of lived through the horse, and every time he looked into his eyes, he really, saw something in him and felt that connection with him. Is there any horse that you have that same type of connection with?
It's got to be Freddie. Freddie's
Yeah,
really the only like he's just a he is an actual spirit animal. I think he could be a therapeutic animal 100%. Like he's amazing that way. Uh, Eagle Jolt was pretty well the same too. He was calm, all that kind of stuff. You could go into the stall, cuddle with him, whatever you wanted to do.
yeah.
But yeah, definitely Freddie and Eagle Jolt.
So watching the race game as a youngster, Landon, and hopefully somebody that's going to, follow the industry and be involved in it for years to come. When you look week to week, is there anything that you as a youngster coming up would change in the industry, or something that maybe we could do a little bit better?
Um, Obviously being in the matinee
Yeah,
program, I do think it would be a lot better for not just for me, but I think it'd be better for everybody if they did have more races in Charlottetown, Summerside, like even if they did more series everywhere else all around, like if they did they did the Young Guns drivers thing last year, I believe. I
yeah.
wish they did that for like matinee people. Like I think it would be a really great experience for everybody. But other than that, no, I think everything's great.
So correct me if I'm wrong. I think you still have to be 16 to get your qualifying license, do you?
Uh, no, I think you have to be 18 to
Oh,
even be
you
able
have
to
to be
qualify.
18.
But
Oh, wow.
up in the states, like
Yeah,
Saratoga, you can get your qualifying license at 16. And
yeah.
I'm not quite like I was questioning myself whenever Dad came back and said, "Oh, you can qualify up there at 16."
Yeah.
Um, like I was questioning, like, why can't we qualify like down here? What's the difference? But
Yeah.
um, anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
18 to yeah, but
Actually,
16 to get your trainers for sure.
okay. So you
Yeah.
brought up Saratoga, and you just kind of jostled my memory there about how your dad went down there. I know it was kind of a getaway trip for your mom and dad, who certainly deserved it. But what was it like to watch your dad compete? At a different racetrack, one he had never been on, although he was driving, some familiar horses from the Maritimes. What was it like to, sit there and watch him compete and do as well as he did? And we all knew that he would do well down there. But what was it like to see watching as a son?
Definitely scary because you weren't right there. You weren't half an hour away or only an hour away. Like if something did happen.
Yeah,
Um, but it was fun at the same time being able to sit there, just yell and scream at the TV even though he can't hear you. But it was fun.
yeah. Because besides races outside the Maritimes, you're probably at most of the live race cards, especially all of them in PEI, I'm sure. And then when your dad's traveling for stakes and stuff like that. So when you watch racing outside of the Maritimes, is there any horses that you love to watch, or do you have a favorite coming up through the stakes that you've been watching, or anything like that?
Uh, as a child, I always remember watching Wiglet Jiglet. Just I think more because of the name, and I thought that was funny in my head. But yeah, Wiglet Jiglet's got to be the only one that I ever really watched as growing up and everything.
Yeah, he was such a tough horse. Montel Teague was a driver of that horse, and just a gutsy little horse. Wasn't a real big horse either. But
No.
um, wanted to ask you, out of the horses in your barn, who are you the most excited about this season coming?
That's a tough one.
I
We got a
know.
lot.
I
Uh,
know. Well, let's
I would
start
have
with
to say,
yeah. How about a stakes horse? Like out of the stakes horses you have.
okay, so for 2-year-olds, I'm gonna have to say probably Phil My Beer, who is a brother to Galway Girl who raced last week in Summerside.
Okay, yeah,
310 to Yuma,
yeah.
who's a brother to all the way to Cardigan.
Okay,
And for H horses, definitely roll them and pass them on that has been on that watch list too. And if
awesome.
I guess I could say, of course, my new fellow Jules Dragon there. I'm pretty excited about him.
So, what are the plans for Time to Dance this season?
Um, Definitely to take him like to races where like invitational set you wouldn't want to take Rollum to, right? Like if there
Yeah,
was one in Inverness, like you don't want to truck him all the way to Inverness for anyway. So definitely just to take him to those invitational races and kind of have him floating around in the preferred two, like preferred one somewhere in there. Um, but other than that, yeah, that's just take him wherever.
so will you be going to Churro this Sunday for that big stakes program?
Oh, 100% I will be.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
Rollum's going, so if Rollum goes, I'm going. So
yeah,
yeah.
there you go. How do you like his chances this week?
Um, I mean, if all the horses are in there on their game and he's on his
Yeah.
game, I think it's gonna be a good race. Like, um, yeah, Rollum's tough horse. There's some tough horses in there. I mean,
Yeah.
you never know what's gonna happen in the horse race. So
No, exactly. So besides racing, Landon, what do you like to do? Do you play hockey, or are you into any sports or anything like that?
I played hockey last year.
Okay.
But pretty much just hockey, horses, and school. That's all I do. It's
That's all
just
you do. seven
yeah,
days a week. Well, except for the weekends, of course. But
yeah.
yeah. Well,
Oh,
listen,
hockey.
Landon.
I I grew up playing hockey, and that's been kind of my sport. I stuck to it. I was thinking about not playing last year, but I ended up playing. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, listen, buddy, thanks very much for joining us. Really appreciate you coming on. Excited to watch you continue to grow over there in Prince Edward Island. You got your first win off your back there with Plain Jane, and we wish you all the best for the coming season. And if you compete again in the matinee program, best of luck, and can't wait to see you on the racetrack someday, kiddo.
All right. Thank you.
All right, and that wraps up episode 30 of Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate. I'm your host for tonight. Kate will be back for our next episode. And again, we thank our sponsors, American History and owner Patrick Hill, who competed in the past weekend's Camluck Classic. And you'll be watching this after this race is completed. So hopefully he did well, along with Don McRae from Prince Edward Island has a horse in there as well. So hopefully they both did well. So again, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back with some future episodes, including Hall of Famer Wally Hennessy, Billy O'Donnell, and Dr. Ian Moore will join us as well. So thanks again. We'll see you next time on Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate.